So whatever you're doing to make your life better, Royal Yoga can bring you more of everything you desire. That's a pretty bold statement. It's the first line in the book, Living in the Light by Deepak Chopra, and it's also going to be our focus over the next 6 weeks. The author goes on to say that the principles of Royal Yoga are focused on personal transformation, beyond any lifestyle, approach to wellness or healing, beyond any faith or religion. They are universal practices for transformation. I was sharing this with somebody I was talking to on the cruise, after they say, what do you do? And I said, I'm a minister, and I was talking about this new series we were going to be starting when I got back, and they were like, well, aren't you Christian? And why would you study anything except for the teachings of Jesus? And so I tried my best to share that, my belief is that the mission of Jesus was all about transformation. That was his core message to us, both personally and in society. He preached that the personal transformation of individuals was necessary so that we could be agents of God's love, and that would lead to a greater transformation of human societies into communities of compassion and equality, and that both of these transformations are necessary to make that love of God a reality in the world, or as he often put it, the kingdom of heaven on earth. The way of Jesus, the practice of Jesus, begins with transformations of individuals from what we are born into, this sort of natural egocentric self. We can see that from our early human life. We can't get beyond self and just what the self needs, to embrace a selfless love, to embrace an ability to be compassionate towards others. And that is exactly the aim of this book and the practices in this book, to bring a greater spiritual intelligence and light into our everyday lives based on these universal teachings. And while in the West we think of yoga as like physical movements that we do, he reminds us that yoga, which means in its translation to unite, is really a complete system. It is a union of all of the aspects of life, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So to live in the light of wholeness is to experience a sense of what he calls bliss, what we might call joy, regardless of what's going on around us. It's our ability to be able to direct our thoughts. We believe that. That's one of our principles, that not only do we have these thoughts and feelings, but we can, as conscious co-creators, direct what goes and how they express themselves. It is to live in a state of gratitude and to recognize that we live in an abundant, lavish place. It's all here, if only we can get in alignment with it. This first week is all about what he calls social intelligence. That's a much more updated term. It probably had some other way of understanding that back in the day. In Hindu, it's called yama. And it is our ability and practices that invite us to be able to discover the light in all of our social world, our family, our co-workers, all the relationships that we have, because they can be our greatest growing edge. I've always said that, If you really want to grow, immerse yourself in people, in a wide variety of people, and it will push you to your growing edge if you're seeking to not just be in it, but to be able to bring light as a part of that relationship. Its focus is to become more aware of the story that we're living, and to support us, if we choose to create a new story. To bring that light of awareness into what we want more of and allow it to decrease the things that block our own true nature, what we would call our Christ essence, that divinity that we have been created from. And ultimately, the goal is to be able, in this realm of social intelligence, to relate peacefully with everyone. Does that sound like something that you'd like to at least experience more of? So he goes on to say that we practice peace when we, and here's some ways that we know that we're practicing peace, when we don't create stress for ourselves or others. When we look for areas of agreement instead of focusing on the areas of discord. When we are able to take responsibility, this is probably a big one, for our own anger and resentment, and when we have the ability to not unleash it on others. To get out of the habit of blaming others for the experience that we're having in our life. To be aware of our impulse, our sort of innate egoic impulse to judge, to criticize, to blame, to get offended, all of those things that when we are just being an island unto ourselves happens. And to distance ourselves whenever possible from hostile people and hostile situations. Those are what he suggests that you work with, or pick one to work with throughout the day. And anger seems to be a good universal place to start. I think we all, at various levels, from simply being annoyed and irritated to being irate, experience anger, if not on a daily basis, certainly on a weekly basis. And he suggests that when you notice yourself getting angry, to just try and pause for a minute, to just pause and breathe. It's not an easy thing to do because typically those emotions are flooding the brain and what its ability is to be able to sort of have something else directing it. But just be with that impulse. Just notice that impulse for a few moments if you can. And even if you pause and then you, a second later, unleash the anger, he said it can also be instructive for us that when we are calmer at some other point in our day, or perhaps it might take a few days, depending upon the situation, that we should just reflect upon, did that anger help the situation, or did it diminish the situation? Did it make it worse? And this is just about bringing awareness. It's not even necessarily about saying I can't do any of that. It's just getting greater understanding of what's going on in our lives. And then he also goes on, there's like a practice every day. So if you want to work with this book, it gives you, and it's not meant to all, it's not like you're going to do one thing one day and it's going to be necessarily transformed. This is sort of lifetime, but they're good places to start. But he says the second practice is about speaking and acting from our own truth. The social self, the part of us that we share with the world, is often not very good at standing in its own truth. We fear being rejected, we fear being attacked or embarrassed, and so we oftentimes default to what he labels as relative truth. Relative truth is what seems to be true in that moment for us, and it's not really stable or reliable because the moments shift and that truth may shift. And as that truth shifts, it's often open to disagreement and has a tendency to cause more division rather than trying to bring more unity into that situation. What he calls absolute truth is those unchanging eternal truths, that love has existed from the beginning and it will always be there to the end. Never changes. That life is infinitely abundant, that we are created whole and perfect. That is so in alignment with what unity believes, and so is everyone else. That's the harder part. Sometimes we can go, yeah, I can glean that for myself, but I'm not so sure that that's true for those people out there. That these are the unchanging realities of life, no matter what may be shifting and changing in the outer world around us or even within us. He gives an example of talking to a friend or a family member whose beliefs you strongly disagree with. Yeah, anybody ever have those kind of interactions? Seems like we are getting a lot of opportunity for practice these days. And you feel this impulse to set this person right, because they obviously don't get it, they don't understand. And acting out of a certainty that you know the truth, that you are right. He says that this is a sure sign that you're using the relative truth for the wrong ends, and that there's no possibility that you will change that other person's mind. So it's really coming from a selfish perspective rather than a desire to help them see the light. And it only creates greater resistance and hostility. So here's some practices that he suggests that we work with. And again, this is all about raising our awareness rather than somehow completely transforming into a new person. It starts in awareness. He says the first practice is, and this is a difficult one, abandon the certainty that you are right. Open the door that it might be possible, that there's some other way of looking at it or understanding it. Allow the possibility that everyone has their own truth, and it is just as true for them as your truth is for you, which leads to not making other people wrong. And the big one, I think that in this climate today is good to practice, is don't use, well, I'm only telling you the truth or even my truth as a cover for criticizing or blaming or attacking them. So the third social intelligence, I'm only going to share 4 with you this morning, but I just want to give you a wide smattering, and I would just suggest if this resonates with you and you want to work with it some more, then certainly get the book and it will guide you in that process. But the other social intelligence practice that he suggests is to practice being yourself. Kind of goes a little bit with the other one. And what makes this challenging for a lot of us is that we are living in this constant comparative world where we're always comparing ourselves and our lives to somebody else's and what's happening in their lives. And it just floods us with reasons to feel inadequate. Even if you're living your best life, all of a sudden you see, mine's maybe not so great. It's about expanding our awareness that you're already whole, that you're already perfect, that you already have everything that you need. Instead of striving to improve ourselves, the invitation is to be ourselves. Because no other behavior, according to the author, will open the way to realizing your true whole self. It's only when we allow ourselves to fully embrace who we are in this moment does the door open and we can discover that there's so much more beyond that. So he suggests these practices to stop comparing yourself with others. Don't depend on anyone else to validate you. Go beyond self-judgment, which is a difficult one. Accept who you are and what you have to offer. In fact, even embrace it beyond accepting it. Give everyone the space to be themselves. And probably one that needs a lot of practice, assume that all people in their essence are whole and good. So in the book, the second half of the book also is an opportunity, if you want to work with it, physical poses that help open the space for these different intelligences to come forward. It is the yoga part that, many of us have practiced if we've gone to a yoga class. It opens space and energy for greater light to emerge. And there are different ones that can support different aspects of opening different parts of ourselves. So as we get ready, we're going to move into a meditation time. I'm going to invite you, if you're able, to embrace one of these poses. They call it the upward worship pose. It has various names out there. So if you're able, as we move into this in a few moments, as we're in the meditation, to either sitting or standing, be able to take the pose and kind of hold that through the meditation. You can modify it if your shoulders are not okay with doing that. You could just do the namaste pose, or you can just put your hands up on your lap and hold that. This particular pose energetically helps shift our perspective, and it can also elevate mood, is what they're saying. So, as we prepare to move into a time of meditation, I would just invite you to stand if you choose to, or you can stay seated and take whatever pose is comfortable. And as you begin to breathe into this space, just breathe, letting your awareness be mindful of your body and what it's feeling in the moment. Aware of your heart as it rhythmically beats in your chest. And just for this next minute or two, become aware of the thoughts and the feelings moving through your being. Don't try and control or suppress or blank them out. Just notice when particular thoughts arise or different feelings that are showing up in your body. Allow them to just freely flow as you notice and become aware of those thoughts. Continue to breathe in. Feeling that energy moving through your body, allowing you to expand and see different facets of the brilliance that is this human journey. Different perspectives. You could even envision that eternal light of love flowing down, flowing around, and flowing in and through your body. Illuminating your mind. Expanding your heart so that it has greater capacity for love and compassion. Breathe in again. Now ground this into your being by imagining that there are actually roots growing out of the soles of your feet, going deep down into the earth, connecting you with this physical space in which you are here to learn and grow, with the eternal, divine love from which you came in to this experience. They are one, as you are one. And then gently begin to let your pose relax. Your hands and your body relax. Take another deep breath. Give thanks for all that is to come as a result of you being willing to be present in this moment. And whenever you're ready, you can sit down if you're not already seated, and open your eyes when you're ready. Could you feel that? So that's one to, just add into your day. There's others back there that you can go, some more difficult than others. Some might be like, nope, I don't think my body's going to engage in that one. But there are also many that you can simply embrace as part of this 6-week journey. So I want to leave you with one more practice, and that he calls the practice of innocence. It's all about raising our awareness about how we impose our past experiences in the present moment, and how when we do that, it actually drains our energy rather than adds more energy to that time. So the one example that came to me, I was talking to my sister this weekend, catching up, and she has a son that she worries about a lot. She worries about, he's an adult child, but she worries about choices, and she just is in that constant, and it's draining, it's exhausting, it's frustrating. She does her best to try and control it, and even though she knows intellectually she has absolutely no control over it. And it gets reinforced over time as she, tries to have low expectations, and then when something happens, it just reinforces it, and she just expects that this will continue or even get worse. And it's hard to shake that memory of past failures and frustrations. And this practice is about being able to let that go so that you can be in the moment like a little child who has no expectations except for anticipating what fun and good might happen in that moment, as young children do. So he suggests these practices to work with recreating some of that innocence that was ours at the beginning of this journey that we're on. He says, don't bring old expectations into new situations, which is really difficult to do. But we begin by practicing trust. To trust that whatever is unfolding is okay. That those eternal, absolute truths of love, of divine connection, of our own individual connection to God, they don't change, even though the situation might change. Instead of trying to control what's happening out there and the events that are happening, to give them space to unfold the way that they want to unfold. I think that this practice of innocence, to be able, really what it is to be able to be fully present in any given moment that we're at, without allowing our past to color it, was what Jesus meant in Matthew 13 when he says, let the little children come to me. I know you've heard this one if you've been around for any time in Christianity. And don't ever stand in their way, for this is the kingdom. This is what the kingdom of God is all about. Truly, anyone who doesn't accept the kingdom of God as a little child cannot enter it. Without that innocence, without that ability to be in the present moment, it makes it really hard for us to enter the kingdom. Innocence is the same as having no agenda. How often do we go into a conversation, a meeting, an appointment with an agenda or already an idea that we've projected of how this is going to go and unfold? You can treat everyone in your life, when you go with no agenda, with openness and with appreciation. It opens you like a young child, to use all of your energy, all of your physical and emotional and spiritual being to experience life that's unfolding right in that moment. It reminds me of a phrase that Mary Mann Morrissey would invite people and said she used every day. So I'm going to share it with you, and then I want you, if you're willing, to say it with me. And if it resonates with you, to perhaps start your day this way. And it says this, it says, "This is a brand new baby day. It's never been lived before. It never gets to be lived again." It's about being present. Doesn't matter what happened yesterday. Today is a brand new baby day. So if you're willing, let's say it. Well, we got to say it 3 times. Twice just seems incomplete. So we'll do it 3 times, try and get into our brain. Let's say it together. This is a brand new baby day. It has never been lived before. It never gets to be lived again. Let's do it. Let's do it 2 more times. This is a brand new baby day. It has never been lived before. It never gets to be lived again. All right, final time. I know, all you ones who, I hate this affirmation stuff. One more time. This is a brand new baby day. It has never been lived before. It never gets to be lived again. And so it is. Well, this is our opportunity to share of our financial good with our community. We're grateful for all of the channels in which we receive our good. We stand in that awareness that we live in a lavish and abundant universe and stand open to receive our good through whatever channels are seeking to share it with us. As we prepare for this, I would invite you to take whatever you're giving today, or if you give online, to take a card, or just feel that energy of it. I just like to know that that energy of abundance is flowing in and through me, in and through this spiritual community, and let us join and bless it together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother God.
We all stand up together. Let's join hands and do our peace song.
And it is that goal of peace that we step into this week, inviting into our very presence as we go, knowing our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yeah.